Welcome everybody. Happy Wednesday. My thought for you today is a little bit on this concept that we have about the spiritual path or our spiritual journey. And it's really common that what happens to us when we have our own practice, or we have whatever it is that we think we're doing to keep ourselves on that track, to keep ourselves on that path, is we start comparing ourselves to what everybody else is doing. And we start to get into that frustration mode where we see all around us people who seem to be not at all going in the same direction that we are, not at all understanding things the same way that we are. And it starts to create a little friction. And we start to think to ourselves, well, maybe it's because I'm a little bit further on the path than they are. Or we get frustrated in the other direction, that there's someone that seems to be so far ahead of us that we're never going to catch up to them, and our life is never going to feel or look at all the way we imagine theirs does. And I had this thought that we have a story about the concept of the bodhisattva, and the story is that there's this practitioner who climbs this wall, and they realize that this wall that is so difficult to get over, that on the other side of it is there's this beautiful garden. And they realize that so many people on the side of the wall that they were on don't even know that it's there. Right? So this is the story of the enlightenment process, right? Is that someone climbs up to that wall and they can see over the edge that there's so much beauty and there's so much abundance that's there. And they start calling down to the people who are below, and they say, listen, there's really great things here. There's really great reasons to keep trying. Just keep trying to pull yourself up. I'll help you. I'll sit up here and I'll hold my hand down. I'll help you climb up. All you have to do is reach for my hand. You just have to reach, and I'm going to help you up. I'm going to help you up. I'm going to help you up. So the one who sits on the wall, as we often say, is that's the bodhisattva, right? And so when we hear that story, we think how beautiful that someone is willing to postpone their own enjoyment of that experience because they want to wait for everybody to be able to share it. They want everyone to be able to get there. And it occurred to me that, in a cartoony kind of way, is what would happen if you felt like you were the one who climbed up onto that wall, and that you're sitting up there and you're calling down below to everybody who's there, but then you realize that the wall is only 6 inches tall, right? That you've climbed 6 inches up, and you're sure that you've worked so hard to get there, and that's as far as there is to go. And you're calling back to the people below and saying, come on, I'll help you, I'll help you. And it's only 6 inches. And suddenly you look up and you realize that there's another wall, right? There's something else. And there's someone sitting on top of that wall calling down to you saying, hey, there's more. Don't stop there. Keep reaching. I'll help you, right? And what this cartoon in my brain turned into is this idea that if wherever we are on the path, we're not looking to be finished. We're actually looking for, how can I be the one that continues to uplift? How can I be the one that continues to call back to whoever's still struggling, knowing that I might still be the one who's struggling too? But can I call back and say, hey, keep trying, instead of letting the mind go to a place that says, why are you still thinking like that? Why are you still acting like that? Why can't you be doing this? Why can't you be doing that? Can you look for the way that you can actually uplift who seems to be behind you? And at the same time, be looking forward to what can you still reach for? Where's the next wall that you can climb up to? Where's the next precipice of understanding that you can climb up to? So this idea of elevating or getting further on the path is incremental. That's my point. It's not like there's all the work and then you get to the top of that wall and there's nothing left to do, right? It's incremental. You're always going to be in that place where you think you've climbed to the top of the wall and you're looking back, and maybe you haven't even realized yet that there's another wall, but there is, right? So you're always in a state of, how can you keep uplifting everyone, everything around you, so that the progression is that those walls, whether they're 6 inches tall or 6 million miles tall, is the walls don't matter anymore. What matters is that we're climbing together. What matters is that we're reaching back so that nothing and no one is left behind, right? And that's not just for the sake of the other person that you think, oh, I've got to wait here until they catch up. It's for you, because you doing the reaching back is exactly the same as you reaching up for yourself. They're the same thing, right? The reaching is the same. So that's what I think we're practicing so much, is that it's not the point to get to the top of the wall and stop, right? The point is, can you continuously say, I'm reaching back for those that are struggling, and I'm reaching out for myself to that energy that is going to help me to cease my struggles? Can I keep reaching in both directions? Because that elevates everything. When we say for the sake of all beings, that's what it means. right? Can you elevate the life of a mosquito? Can you elevate the life of the person who is irritating you the most and keep reaching back for them? Because in that, I guarantee you will understand compassion, right? Not just for them, but for you. Your heart will open more, right? But that funny image is that I've got to the top of the wall and I really think of myself as that bodhisattva, and I look back and I realize the wall is only 6 inches high, right? How far have I come? And how much farther is there to go? So can you keep reaching? That's the question. That's our practice, is you're reaching in both directions, because the reaching is the same. I reach back for you or I reach out forward for you. It's the same, right? So comfortable seat if you're not there already. And just because I know you enjoy knowing how my mind works, all of this originally came out of reading an article about pandas. So you think about that as, how did I get there from pandas? Yeah, maybe I'll tell you at the end of class. So comfortable seat, let the eyes close. Find your breath. And in that breath, can you feel yourself in that state of reaching? We often say that there's that element of giving and receiving that's inherent in the breath, that you can't help but be united if you're breathing. Because your inhale is something that was already given from another being. And your exhale is a giving to those other beings in the world. And your breath and your mind are the same. So what enters in and what exits out of your mind, just like your breath, is a sharing. So on all levels, we're asked to continue to reach, to uplift all beings through the simplest things like your breath. And to keep putting your mind in a place that is looking to elevate. Doesn't mean there's never going to be a negative thought, but look to elevate. Look for that place that is holding and honoring for every piece of your experience, every piece of life. And that giving and that receiving, that's the uniting, that's the reaching. So can you feel that with your breath, that you are breathing in the breath of all beings? And you are breathing out the breath of all beings. And if any one of us stops breathing, every being suffers. You don't have to know the answers. You don't have to be at the top of the wall. But wherever you are, you can reach forward and you can reach back. So big breaths, like you're breathing in the entire world, and you're breathing out the entire world. And you can use that as a meditation, that there's nothing else to do but to breathe in the entire world with no restriction, and breathe out the entire world with no restriction. That it is impossible to sit on top of the wall and not to be already in that state of enlightenment. The desire to share it does not make it less. It can only make it more. One more deep breath in, fill the lungs, fill the belly, fill the space of the upper chest. And then exhale everything all the way out, relaxing into your seat. And bringing the hands together in front of the heart, palm to palm. We'll open with the sound of Om. Deep breath in. And let the eyes float open. Nice, you guys. You can release your hands, please. And then go ahead and come forward onto hands and knees. And start to move your hips. Do nice big hip circles. Good. And move your pelvis the other way so that you are getting more into the other side, the other rotation of your low back, your shoulders. Good. And then come back to neutral spine, please. Do a little cat and cow, inhaling, drawing the spine long, so reaching from the armpits and the thigh creases, pull back in both directions. And then exhale, curl in and round, but try to keep that space between the armpits and the thigh creases. Good. So what that means when you inhale is your armpits are not dropping back because you're squeezing your shoulder blades, is you're keeping them forward and then pulling your spine longer because of that. Good. Same thing on the exhale as you're rounding, but even as you round, don't let that tail pull so far forward that you shorten your lower back. Keep the tops of your thighs moving back. Good. You might have to pause in any one of those positions to feel what I'm talking about, because our habit is to just work within the space that we're comfortable with, right? And that's physical as well as mental as well as spiritual. That's always what we do. What I'm comfortable with, I'll stick with. Good. Nice, you guys. Next time you come into that cat position, stay there. So stay rounded through your back, pull up through the back of your rib cage. And then right there in that rounded position, pull your armpits forward. Move your shoulders towards your ears. Good. Lengthen the back of your throat. And then don't move that, but pull the tops of your thighs back. Good. And you're still rounded. So you're still hollowing up through the front of your pelvis. You're still hollowing through your low ribs. Nice. But pull the armpits and the tops of the thighs away. Good. And then pull up more. Good. Now keep rounded like that. Tuck your toes, lift your hips, come into downward facing dog. Good. Pull the tops of the thighs back, pull your armpits forward. So that hasn't changed. Keep the fullness in your back rib cage. Nice. And then the back of your throat lifts up to take some of that arch out of your spine, or some of that roundness out of your spine, but keep the armpits pulling forward, the tops of the thighs back. Good. Take the right leg up and back behind you, down dog split. Nice. Step that foot forward between the hands. Lunge. Good. And then drop the back heel. Baby toe parallels the back of your mat. Good. Take both hands inside the front foot. Good. Walk to your left just a little bit until you start to feel resistance. So keep your right toes facing straight ahead. Good. Walk your hands towards the middle of your mat just a little bit. Good. And you'll know that resistance is happening because your knee will start to fall in and your right butt cheek will start to pop out. So do the opposite of that. Pull your right hip in, widen your inner knee. Good. And then send the top of that, or the inner edge of that left thigh, up and back behind you. Good. Deep breath in. Squeeze the feet towards each other, but drop your shoulders lower. That's it. Good. Nice, you guys. One more breath there. Really hold the legs strong. Beautiful. And then walk yourself towards the inside edge of that foot again. So walk back towards the top of your mat. Your right hand is going to plant inside that right leg. Take your left arm up to the sky. So like you're doing an open side angle pose. Good. So you're pressing the shoulder, the upper arm out against the inside of the shin and the knee. And then you're squeezing the knee in just a little bit, and then squeeze that right butt cheek in. Good. And then take your left hand to your left hip for a moment. And now push your left hip up into your hand. Good. Yeah. Curl into that side body, round into your ribs. Now keep that roundness, open your chest more towards the sky. Good. Move that left shoulder back. That's it. Now take that left arm back up to the sky. Don't collapse your rib cage. Beautiful. Release that hand down to the floor, please. Spin your back heel up. Drop that back knee down to the floor. Both hands can stay inside the front foot. Start to make nice big circles with that front hip. Good. If you want that back knee to come up off the floor to do the hip circles, you can do that too. Good. Nice, you guys. And then bring it back to stillness, please. Good. Flex that right foot a lot. Drop onto the baby toe. Let your knee go wide to the right. And then walk your hands a little bit more towards the upper left-hand corner of your mat. Good. So walk away from that front thigh. Yeah. And I really want you to not collapse your pelvis here. So I need your butt to lift a little more. And then play with, can you draw your butt cheeks under? So curl your pelvis under and lift those hip points higher. So it's going to send that rotation of your right thigh open a little bit more. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good, good, good. And then send your pelvis forward a little bit more, almost like you're reaching for that pigeon position, but you're not going to find it. Good. Nice. And then walk it all the way back in, please. Take that foot back to flat. Good. Lift the back knee. Take your right leg up and back, down dog split. Leg stays nice and straight. Turn the hip open, so stack your right hip on top of the left, but keep the leg straight. Good. Draw your toes slightly more forward towards the front of your thigh, and then open the hip more. So bring the foot forward out of the twist, and then open the top of your hip more. That's it. One more breath. Ribs draw in. Good. And then scoop your belly. Turn those right toes back down towards the floor. Nice. And then release that foot down, downward facing dog. Good. Bend both knees a lot. Drop your hips down towards your heels. Scoop your belly. Good. Push your hips back in space. So it's like you're hovering with your knees just a couple of inches off of the floor. And then push back. Push back, push back, push back. That's it. Good. And then take the legs to straight again. Let the heels soften towards the floor. Armpits forward, tops of the thighs back. Left leg comes up and back, down dog split. Good. Step that foot forward between the hands, lunge. Nice. And then drop your back heel so your baby toe parallels the back of your mat. So your legs are set up in warrior two legs. Walk your hands to the inside of that front foot. Walk to your right just a little bit until you start to feel your own personal edge of resistance. So some of you can walk pretty far to the right before you start to feel your knee fall in. Some of you are going to feel that knee falling in before you've gone anywhere. So again, it's not about where am I on the path. Wherever you are, you're looking for the place where there is the greatest upliftment. Where is there room for me to find more space? Where is there a way for me to include more of my experience in a non-judgmental way? Good. So widen that inner knee, pull that left butt cheek in. Enjoy the experience if that feels like intense stretch. Fantastic. Enjoy that. Good. You know that you're getting somewhere when you find an edge in yourself. Nice, you guys. Squeeze the feet towards each other. Bend your elbows. Drop into that forward fold a little bit more. Don't hold yourself back. Good. Really nice, Joy. Good, Linda. Beautiful, you guys. Walk yourself back towards the top of your mat. Left hand plants inside your left foot. Keep your back heel flat, so don't change the legs. Just left hand inside that left foot. Take the right arm up to the sky. Good. So it's like an open side angle. And you're pushing the shin and the knee slightly wide with your upper arm, but then you're squeezing in, big toe mound presses down, and that left butt cheek pulls in towards the center line. Don't push it out. Good. Right hand comes to your right hip. So the arm that's in the air comes to your hip. Push your right hip up into your hand. Good. So you get into almost rounding or arching your right rib cage. Good. Push up, push up, push up. Nice. And then use that pushing up to open your right shoulder more, open the chest more. Keep scooping that left butt cheek in. Good. Then take the right arm back to the sky if you'd like. Don't collapse into your ribs. Keep pushing up. Nice. Good job. Good, Harry. Nice, you guys. Release that hand down to the floor, please. Good. Spin your back heel up. Drop the back knee. Both hands stay inside the front foot. Start to make big circles with that front hip. And again, if you want to lift the back knee up off the floor to do those hip circles, you are welcome to do that. It's whatever feels better to you, more accessible to you. Good. Whenever I think I'm further on the path than somebody else, I hope that cartoon keeps popping up to remind me. Oh, you've climbed to the top of your wall? Well, it was only 6 inches high. Who are you reaching back for, crickets? What are you reaching back to that you think is less? Previous version of yourself. That's all it is. Come back to neutral, please. Both hands inside that front foot still. Flex the left foot a lot. Drop onto the baby toe. Let your knees start to go wide. Walk your hands a little bit more towards the upper right-hand corner of your mat, so away from that front leg. Good. And then you're really drawing that left butt cheek back and in, and don't let your pelvis collapse. So try and lift your front hip points up a little more. It's going to feel like you're trying to tuck your tail under. Good. But then move your pelvis forward more in space. Good. Don't let your right hip drop lower than your left. Beautiful, you guys. Nice, nice, nice. Almost like you're reaching for pigeon here. So let your pelvis go forward, but lift up through that front edge. Lift your heart a little higher. Aha. There it is. Good. And then walk yourself back in, please. Nicely done. Take that foot to flat. Lift the back knee up. Take that left leg up and back to down dog split. Good. Foot flexed. Stack the hip. Left hip turns on top of right, but keep the leg straight. So don't bend the knee, Jen. There you go. Take your toes slightly forward towards the front of your thigh. So it's going to take some of that stretch or some of that feeling of tightness out of the front of the thigh, and then lift the hip open more. Yeah. So like an extension of your rib cage, open wider. Good. And then scoop into your low belly. Turn those left toes down towards the floor so you're in down dog split. Nice. And then release that foot down to the floor. Downward facing dog. Slide forward to plank pose. Upward push up. Good. Lower down slow, coming through knees first if you need. Forehead to the floor. Take your hands back behind your head, elbows wide. Good. Keep your feet on the floor. Keep your pelvis sending, tops of the thighs, pelvis sending down and forward. And then lift your elbows up off the floor. Keep your face pointing down, but begin to lift head, neck, and chest, pushing your head up into your hands. This is really about the strength of your throat. It's really about the strength of that line of your neck into your back. Good. So don't obsess about trying to get into a super big back bend. Don't clench your butt. Keep your feet rooted to the floor. Press up from your upper back. Draw your low rib cage in. Pull away from the floor. Don't think about lifting up. Pull away from the floor. Different, right? Good. And then release your forehead back down. Nice. Take your arms out wide in the middle rib area. So you're coming out to cobra arms, but arms out wide up on your fingertips. Good. Rotate those elbows up towards the ceiling. Nice. And then again, trying to find that rootedness at the front of your thighs and pelvis. Begin to lift head, neck, and chest by pulling your ribs away from the floor. So pull up away from the floor and then lift the chest forward and up. And feel those shoulder blades drawing down and lifting the back of your rib cage. Good. Keep those elbows up and chest wide. Like you're going to drag yourself along the floor. Long throat. Good. And then twist a little bit more to your right. So maybe bend that left elbow more and turn your right rib cage open. So not just sway to the right, but open to the right. And then back towards center. And then twist the other way, lifting the left rib cage a little bit more open. Good. And back to center. Go to the right one more time. Open the right rib cage. And back to center. Keep your feet rooted to the floor. Open to the left. Good. And back to center. Release back to your belly. Nice. Walk your hands back in, please, a little closer. Press up to hands and knees. Yep. Find that modified plank position. So on hands and knees, you're going to take your weight slightly forward so that you are just in front of your kneecaps, but your knees can stay on the floor. So what you would do, like, what do they call them? Girl push-ups? Whatever. It's just the visual for you. Modified chaturanga. That's the yoga way to say it. Nothing to do with being a girl. So arms a little wider than they would normally be, right? I want you to find that chaturanga feeling that you are lowering your chest towards the floor and at the same time you're pulling your ribs in. So lower down about halfway. Hug those upper arms in. Pause halfway. You're not going any further. Good. Elbows 90 degrees. Pull your ribs up. Round into your back. Yep. Now push your arms back up to straight. Good. Do it again. Lower down halfway. Get to halfway and pause. Hug those upper arms, those lower armpits towards each other. Pull your ribs in. Round your back, but don't straighten your arms. Round your back. Yep. And now push the floor away. Good. One more time. This is the most fun you've had all day, I know. Lower down halfway. Pause. Hug those lower armpits. Squeeze those arms in. And then don't get any further away from the floor, but pull your low ribs in. Pull up. And then push the floor away. Nice. Press back child's pose, please. Knees wide if you'd like, hips back to your heels. Good. The way this concept is said, as Yogi Bhajan would say, and I'm sure other Kundalini teachers have said it too, is that there's the need for us to be a forklift. Right? Wherever we see that there is struggle in the world, is there's a need for us to recognize how we can participate in a way that is uplifting. Doesn't mean that you're there to fix the problem. It doesn't mean you're there to tell someone how they're doing it wrong or that you have a better way. But can you be present in every situation with the desire to uplift? With your words, with your thoughts. Maybe you don't ever say anything out loud, but just being there mentally. You wish the best for every situation. Walk yourself to the right, please, over the right thigh. Be careful of cats that may or may not be present. Good. But that idea, can you be a forklift? However heavy the struggle may seem, can you bring to it a sense of strength, but also lightness? Come back to center, walk to the left. And I think that's what it means to be a bodhisattva in a non-dramatic way. It says, there's nothing in this world that I'm going to turn my back on. There's nothing in my life that I'm going to say, you maybe don't need to be part of my enlightenment experience. There's no such thing. You're always reaching back, and in the act of reaching back, it sends our hearts reaching out further forward on our path. Walk yourself back to center. Good. And then walk the hands back up. Please come back downward facing dog. Good. Bring the right leg up and back behind you, down dog split. Good. And then bring that knee forward towards your nose. Bring the armpits forward so you're in like a one-legged plank and squeeze in. And the same idea here is you're pushing through the arms, but you're rounding through your ribs. So I want you to pull up through your back rib cage like crazy. Good. And then send that leg back and up behind you, down dog split. Nice. And then step that foot all the way forward between the hands with that same energy of I'm lifting from my rib cage to take that foot forward. Beautiful. Inhale the arms up to the sky, high lunge. Good. Nice, you guys. And then take your hands back behind your head. Good. Squeeze those elbows in just a little bit. So they're squeezing in and digging the elbow tips down. Press your head back into your hands. Lift up into that back bend. So take your chest higher and then send your knee a little bit further forward. Scoop into that belly. Yeah. Good. And then bring yourself back up to center. Keep the hands where they are. Bring your chest forward. Step up into warrior 3, please, with your hands behind your head. Good. Or arms can be out wide if behind the head does not work. My point, though, is I want your arms to not be that counterbalance in front of you so that you can actually feel here in warrior 3. Round your back. Pull your ribs up. Turtle your back. That's it. And then press your head up into your hands like you're doing that cobra back bend. Nice. And then kick your right heel higher, or your left heel higher. Sorry, it's your left heel. Good. And then go ahead, start to come all the way up to stand. Swing that leg forward and up. Bring that knee up in towards your chest. Good. Squeeze it in higher. Higher, 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 higher. Good. And then send it back behind you, warrior 3. We're just going to do that 16 times. Good. Head presses up, back of your ribs, stay lifted. Beautiful. Step back to that high lunge, please. Arms to the sky. Reach for that back bend, but reach from your whole spine, from your whole throat. And then release the hands down to the floor. Nice, you guys. Left hand plants, right arm to the sky, spinal twist. Beautiful. Bring that left arm over the ear, please. So you're reaching long from the armpit to the hip. Good. Harriet, just push your left hip wider to the left. Other way. Other way. Almost. Okay. Release that hand down to the floor. Good. Step back, down dog split, please. Take that right leg back and up. Beautiful. Good, you guys. And then bend the knee, kick your heel in towards your butt. Stack that hip, right hip on top of left. Good. Really squeeze the heel in, please. Yeah. Good. And then bring that knee facing forward again. Bring that right leg forward and wide. Pigeon pose. No, we're doing a lot on the right side. I don't feel bad for you. Slide that left leg back. We're going to do it all on the left too. Good, but draw that right thigh crease back and down. So pull it back in space and then try to bring those sit bones down towards the floor so that you're not automatically coming into that forward tilt of your pelvis when you come into pigeon. Try and keep that upright action. Good, so keep the lift of your pelvic bones. Nice. And then once you found that, go ahead and walk yourself forward onto your fingertips. Good, but stay forward on your fingertips. Don't just get comfortable. And then walk yourself to the upper left-hand corner of your mat. So walk away from that front leg. Good, and pull that right butt cheek back and in. Nice, so stay low to the floor if you can. Good. And then walk yourself back towards center, please. Walk to the upper right-hand corner of your mat, still in pigeon. Stay low to the floor. Good. Nice. And then come back to center, please. Come to where you can have your elbows underneath your shoulders. And then just resting in that pigeon position, round your back. Pull your ribs up. Turtle, turtle, turtle. Good. And then feel if that gives you a little bit more space in your pelvis or a little bit more awareness of being able to drop into your pelvis because your upper back is now engaged. Good. Usually we have a little bit of a fight with ourselves in pigeon because the upper back wants to be doing one thing and the lower back wants to be doing something else. So if you round your back on purpose, right, you create space in your upper back. Does that free your pelvis? Good. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. And then release completely into your resting pigeon, however you like to be there. But even that action of engaging a place that habitually becomes tight in a pose gives you the chance to actively relax it. Because we are largely unaware of the level of stress or the level of contraction that our body is in most of the time. So it's only when we actually purposefully engage a muscle that we can then consciously say, this is what it feels like to relax it. Good. So how do I uplift? Because uplifting sometimes means I have to put a little bit more effort into where I didn't think needed effort or where I didn't want to put effort. Why should I round my back in a hip opener? Because this is also a spinal stretch. Nothing can be left behind. Nothing can be ignored. As soon as we ignore it, we've ignored a fundamental part of ourselves, guaranteed. Good. The benefit of all beings. I look for the way to uplift. Nice, you guys. Walk the hands back in, please. Good. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, come back downward facing dog. Good. Pedal your feet. Move the hips from side to side. Good. And then come to stillness, please. Take the left leg up and back, down dog split. Good. Bring the knee forward towards your nose, round your back. So come into that one-legged plank pose. So the shoulders have to come forward, 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 armpits forward, 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 extend, extend, and pull up. Yeah, pull that thigh higher, round into your ribs. That's it. Good. And then extend that leg back and up behind you, down dog split. Nice. And then that same energy of pulling up to make your step forward really light, step the left foot between the hands. Good. So it's not just the momentum of the leg, right? It's how much you are able to pull up through your whole spine. Inhale the arms to the sky, high lunge. Notice with your high lunge, if you're fighting for your balance in your first lifting of your arms, you're going to fight with your balance through this entire sequence. Widen your feet, right and left. Good. Sometimes we have to stop pretending that our hips are as narrow as we think they are. Take your feet wider. Elbows wide, hands behind your head. Good. Squeeze those elbows in, dig those elbows down so that you are lifting your chest, and then drop your head back into your hands. Rotate your collarbones to the sky. Scoop into your belly. Send your knee deeper into the lunge. Squeeze your feet towards each other. That's it. And then bring yourself back up to center, please. Don't change the hands. Take your chest forward. Step up, warrior three. Good. And keep pressing the head up into the hands. And then find the roundness of your back here. So pull up through your back rib cage and feel how maybe that pulls up through your pelvis as well. And then push your head up into your hands to take that arch out of your spine. Kick your right heel higher. That's it. And then go ahead, pull that knee forward and up as you come to stand. Bring it forward and up in towards your chest. No hands. Don't give up, Linda. Good. Squeeze it in. Higher, 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 higher. Higher. Good, Carolina. Good job. And then take that leg back behind you, warrior three. Yeah, that wasn't the point, right? How high can I get my leg? It's to activate those muscles of lifting, right? Good. Step back to high lunge, please. Inhale the arms straight to the sky. Reach from your whole spine. Find that back bend. Rotate the shoulders. Rotate the chest. Good. And then release the hands down to the floor. Nice job. Right hand plants left arm to the sky. Spinal twist. It does not matter if you thought that was graceful or not. Makes no difference. Push that right inner thigh wider, your right hip wider. So almost everybody in this position, we start to push our left butt cheek out to the side, the leg that's in front. Pull it in. That's it. And then take the arm over the ear, please, reaching from armpit to hip. Good. Almost here, like you're trying to simulate that feeling of an open pigeon in that left hip. So pull that thigh crease back. Good. And then release the hand down to the floor. Really good, you guys. Good. Take that left leg up and back, down dog split. Bend the knee, kick your heel in towards your butt, stack the left hip on top of the right, open, open, open. Good. Nice. And then bring the knee facing the floor, please. Tank that left knee forward and wide. Find pigeon pose on the other side. Good. Good, good, good. So again, you're drawing that left thigh crease back and in so that your right hip can spin forward a little bit more. So set yourself up with your pelvis in a level place. Then go ahead and walk yourself forward. Find yourself onto your forearms or onto your extended arms, better yet. And then walk to the upper right-hand corner of your mat. Walk away from that front leg. Good. So you're not letting that hip shift towards you or shift with you, but you're pulling it back. Good. Trying to decompress that space where your thigh meets with your pelvis. Nice. Walk back towards center, please. Walk yourself to the left. Kind of funny that it's raining outside and it's also raining on me. Somehow. A little bit of drops. Good. Bring yourself back to center, please. Onto your forearms for a moment. So almost like you're trying to do Sphinx pose in pigeon. And then pressing into those forearms, round your back. Good. Pull up through your whole spine and see what that does to your ability to maybe send your sit bones down towards the floor more in pigeon. You get more rotation through your thighs because you're pulling up through your spine. But get into those muscles around your ribs that do the lifting. Right? You can see the metaphor here, right? You want to be a forklift, you have to understand what in you has to fire up for you to uplift, for you to lift up. So it's not just physically, these are the muscles, but it's also mentally. Where do your thoughts have to go? Good. Release that roundness, please. Let yourself drop into your resting pigeon pose, however you like. How do I get to the top of my own wall? Where are my own places where I get stuck in my negative thinking or my negative perspective? Where do I get stuck in my judgment? Those are the places that you can say, in that moment, how can I be uplifting? If I'm looking to uplift someone who I think is suffering more than me, I'm going to find solutions to my own suffering. a win-win. Good. It's so funny to think that there are beings that are behind you and beings that are in front of you, and not just beings that are holding hands with you. They're just on the path with you. And if our attention is on uplifting each other, everybody continues to grow, continues to understand at a faster rate. Walk yourself back up onto your hands, please. Lift that back knee, step back down, dog split, take that leg up. Good. And then release that foot to the floor, downward facing dog, pedal your feet. Nice. And then let your heels reach towards the floor, please. Nice job. Step your right foot forward between the hands, lunge. Back heel comes flat, baby toe parallels the back of your mat. Cartwheel the arms up, warrior two. Good. And then right forearm comes onto right thigh, please. Take the left arm over the ear, come into side angle pose, remembering everything that you did in all of the previous incarnations of warrior two and side angle. So keep that right butt cheek drawing in, keep the left inner thigh pulling up and back. Good. And then optional here to go for the half bind. So left arm can come to the sky, turn your palm to face back, reach around behind you so that arm can reach for your outer right hip. And then for those of you who want to go for the full bind, right shoulder can come down inside the knee, wrap around underneath your thigh. Again, these are options. If it doesn't feel like it's a reasonable place to be, don't worry about it. Good, but look for that rounding in your back first if you've got that full bind. And from that rounded place, start to draw your left shoulder higher and press your throat back. Good, nice Joy, nice Lisa. Nice Jen. Good, unwind your arms please, come all the way back up to warrior two. Good, straighten the front thigh please. Nice job, and then reach for triangle, extend the rib cage long, right hand drops down to front leg, floor or block, left arm to the sky. Good, pay attention to what your front knee is doing. If it's having a tendency to roll in, see if you can draw it a little wider. So Harriet, draw that right knee a little bit wider. That's it. Mark, draw your knee a little bit wider. Turn it a little bit. There you go. Good. And then can you round into your ribs again, either using your hand or not for reference. Pull up through that left rib cage. Good. And then from that, can you open your left shoulder more? Maybe take your hand, if it's on the floor, take it to the baby toe edge of your foot and fall back onto your hand. So almost like you're starting to find a back bend in your triangle pose. Good. But not by pushing your ribs forward, by actually moving yourself back in space. That's it. Good, Linda. Nice, Andy. Nice, Laura. Beautiful, you guys. Bend that right knee again, please. Take that left hand to your left hip. Gaze down towards the floor. Step forward to Ardha Chandrasana. Good. So right hand moves forward beyond the toes of the front foot. Stack the left hip on top of the right. Toes turn to the side. Good. Same thing. Right butt cheek has to draw in. Round up into that left rib cage. And stretch up through that left shoulder. Open more throat back. Yeah. Good. And then maybe for some of you, you're going to squeeze into that lifting so much that you can take your weight out of your right hand, float your right hand up off the floor. Good. Nice. Still turn your chest to the side though. Good. Release that hand back down. Nice. Step it all the way back, please. Downward facing dog as gracefully as you can. Awesome, you guys. Yeah, that feeling of lifting is often one that feels like you are suspended in space. There's nothing solid beneath you except that energy of reaching. Good. Left leg comes up and back, down dog split. I realized we didn't do that on the first side. That's fine. Step the left foot between the hands. Drop the back heel, baby toe parallels back of your mat, warrior two, cartwheel the arms up. Good. Left forearm comes on to left thigh, please. Right arm comes over the ear, extend. Nice. And again, you can stay here or go for any variation here of binding. So the right hand can turn back, bend the elbow, reach around for that outer left hip. Another option is to bring the left arm down inside the front of that left knee. Bring the shoulder down, wrap the arm around the underside of your thigh. Good. You can even just bring your hand back down to the floor and do that open twist that we did in the beginning. Nice. If you have that bind or you're reaching under your thigh, round into your back rib cage again. Power up your legs, squeeze your feet towards each other, pull that left butt cheek back and in, and then lift that right shoulder higher. Good, Susan. Good, Lisa. Yeah. The trick is not to try and push forward into your ribs. It's to get further back into your back body. Awesome. Release the arms, please. Come all the way back up. Warrior two. Nice job. Straighten the front thigh. Triangle pose. Reach the left rib cage long. Watch if you know you have a tendency for your knee to fall in here. And if you don't know if you have a tendency, you do. Everyone does. Rotate your knee a little wider towards the baby toe. Good. And then let that left hand come down to rest, right arm up. Beautiful. So like the way Krishna Das says it, he says with his chanting practice is that you're always in a state of longing. Right? You're calling out the names of God, but you're in that state of longing to be united with them, but knowing that you're still in this separate form, that you're still in this smaller form. So how do you get past that? And he says, you don't, right? You live in the longing, and you know that the longing is the practice. If you lose the longing, then you've lost something. Really pull up through that right rib cage, you guys. The same feeling of how do I elevate? Because if I'm not in that state of reaching, I've lost something. If I think I've gotten to the top of the wall, I've lost something. Good. Maybe bring that left hand to the baby toe side of your foot. See if you can let your weight move back. Trust your legs. Let your weight of your chest open more. Turn your shoulders open more. Find where it feels like there's a little bit more back bend in your triangle. Not because you're pulling your right hand further back, but because you're moving your shoulder back. Nice. Really good, Harriet. Good, Jen. Good, Sarah. Good, Joy. Bring that right hand back to your right hip, please. Turn your gaze down towards the floor. Bend that left knee. Slide the left hand forward. Ardha Chandrasana. Stack the right hip on top of the left. Good. Watch. If your knee tends to roll inward in triangle, that standing knee is going to tend to roll inward in Ardha Chandrasana. So you got to pull that left butt cheek backwards and in. And then really work to open that right hip higher. Good. And then round into that back again just a little bit so that when you open your chest, you're doing it with a fullness in your back body. Nice. And then again, this is all about how you can get into those side ribs. Pull up through your right side ribs, same way you did in triangle. And see if that gives you a little bit more stability, a little bit more power to take weight out of that left hand, maybe even floating it up off of the floor. It's not easy to do. So if it doesn't happen today, don't be upset. That was a good transition, Susan. Good, Stacy. Nice. And then release that hand back down, step all the way back, downward facing dog. Good. Pedal your feet. Beautiful. And then look forward between the hands. Please step or jump your feet forward, top of your mat. Good. Just for fun, bring your feet closer together, heels and big toes together to touch. Hands touching something. So if they can't touch the floor, make sure you have a hold of blocks. Come up on your tippy toes. Yep. And then as you bend your knees, you're going to take your knees wide into a little frog squat. Drop your hips down to your heels, lift your chest. And then as you exhale, push your hips up to the sky, straighten your legs. They're called frogs. Drop your head. Good. Inhaling, dropping the hips down, knees wide into that little squat. Exhaling, lifting your hips up. Good. Keep on the tippy toes, please. Your feet never come flat. Bend out wide. Keep going. And lift up. Good. Nice. So you can play here a little bit just in chair too, if this doesn't, coming down into the full squat doesn't work. Good. Keep going. Use your breath. Good. If you hit more than 50 before I stop, then stop yourself, but I think you'll be okay. Keep going. The muscles that create lift I want you to understand them well because they're not the big ones that you think that they are. If your thighs are getting fatigued here, your quads are getting fatigued, you're working your quads too much. Use your inner thighs. Use your belly. Push up from your low back. Yes. I want you to feel that you are as light as air in this body and this mind. Why? Because you know how to keep yourself in a state of lift. You know what actually needs to be awake. Good. Nice, you guys. Next time you take your legs to straight, let the heels drop to the floor, standing forward fold, separate the feet a little wider. Ah, yeah. Beautiful. It's a habit that we have to form, uplifting. Because our minds tend to, and maybe we've been trained this way, where we just absorb it from the rest of the world, but the tendency is it's very easy to fall into the negative perspective. It's very easy to protect yourself thinking about what's wrong or in the comparison. I'm this much further away from that than someone else. Separate your feet as wide as you turn your toes out, drop down, squat. Or if squat doesn't work here, Badakanasana also works. Good. Press the chest nice and wide. That's it. Send your butt down to the floor. So squat off, and again, we're there hoping that we're just going to survive it. So we hold ourselves away. What happens if you actually really squeeze your feet and push your butt down to the floor? Hug those knees in, but push your elbows wide and draw your seat down towards the floor and lift your chest. Nice. Good. Straighten the legs and bow. Turn the toes forward, please. Keep your feet as wide as your mat. Right hand reaches for left ankle. Left arm to the sky. Push your inner thighs wide. Good. Throat back. Nice one. Good, Jen. Good. Release and switch. Left hand to right ankle, please. Right arm to the sky. Again, inner thighs wide. Press the throat back. Good, Susan. Nice, Sarah. Good, Jen. And then release that hand back down, please. Good. Feet are nice and wide. Come up on your tippy toes. Bring your hands down towards the floor. Good. So I want you to find like that squat position again. You're moving towards crow and no complaints. If you're like, I don't do crow, you're going to practice crow. All right. So find where your hands can find the floor. You're up on your tippy toes and then start to find like you're in that tippy toe squat. Bend your knees wide. And as you bend your elbows back into that chaturanga position, hug your lower armpits towards each other. Round your back. Don't try to get into the pose and then round your back. Round your back from the beginning. Let your weight come forward onto your hands, 90 degrees. Keep pulling up through your back rib cage. Look slightly forward. It's going to take some of that arch out of your back. Bring those knees towards the upper shelf of your arms. Play on your tippy toes. Good. Arms don't come past 90 degrees. They got to stay right there. And then scoop. Push your butt to the sky. Squeeze your knees. Squeeze your low armpits. And see if one foot can hover off of the floor. It doesn't have to be both. Good. I know. I want you to practice that feeling that you are lifting from your side ribs. It's not your legs that are going to do it for you. It's not your arms that are going to do it for you. It's that space of your armpits that are going to do that's going to do it for you. Good. Nice. And then release your feet back to the floor, please. Nice job, you guys. Come on down to sit. A valiant effort all around. Good. Bottoms of the feet together. Let your knees go wide. Yeah. And then walk yourself forward. Take your favorite version of Badakanasana, forward fold. So if you like to hold your feet, hold your feet. If you like to extend your arms, extend your arms. If you like to sit upright with your hands behind you and work that stretch of your spine, you can also do that. Good. Nice, you guys. However far you think you've come, it matters not at all. Progress means nothing on the path, spiritual path. If you're trying to measure your progress by how far you've come compared to others, or where you think you are in comparison to others, you're going to trap yourself. All that matters is that there is that reaching for unity. That is the spiritual path. So if whether you feel that you are reaching behind you, or you are reaching in front of you, or you're reaching just inside of you, it's all the same reaching. And it's only when we lose that we lose something on the path. We think that we've gained all that we need to gain. I'm safe. I'm at the top of the wall. We lose something. It's important to reach back and say, I too am one who has suffered and is still suffering. Therefore, no one should be left behind. Walk yourself back up, please. Good. Stretch the legs out wide. Straddle. Good. Turn your belly to the right, so over the right leg. Good. Don't let your toes drop all the way open. Keep them up and down, straight up and down. Good. And then walk yourself straight ahead towards over that leg, towards the foot. Good. But really turn your left rib cage forward, forward, forward. So you're really moving the rib cage away from the pelvis. Nice. Root the left thigh down, the leg that you are not focused on. Good. And then move both hands to the inside of that leg. Drop the right forearm to the inside of that shin, on the hand or on the elbow. Turn your ribs open. Take the left arm over the ear. Or hand can come behind the head. Or hand can even come to your side ribs. If you like that feeling of really pushing up into the hand, you can bring the hand to your side ribs and push up into it. Otherwise, you're in a side stretch over that right leg. Good. Press that left thigh down to the floor. Nice. Move your left shoulder back more, you guys. Open. That's it. Good. And then bring yourself all the way up. Very good. And then twist the other way over the left thigh. So turning the belly, walk yourself straight ahead, forward fold. So you're wondering about the pandas yet? How did we get here? Pandas. I was reading an article about pandas and how it's very typical that many pandas give birth to twins. But for some reason, evolutionary wise, they also tend to abandon one twin at birth. So they abandon one of their cubs. And the thought is that there's not enough resources for them to be able to keep both of them alive. So they leave one. Weird evolution, right? Why do you give birth to two if you can't handle having two? Who knows? Not the point though, right? So what has been done, or what is being done in zoos, across the world, is that they've started doing this thing where they will switch the twins, the panda cubs, throughout the day with the mother, so that the mother is paying attention to only one at a time, but both cubs get attention. Both cubs get sustenance. They get, fed from their mother. Bring both hands to the inside of that left leg. Right forearm, or that arm comes down to the floor. Left forearm, if it can. Right arm comes over the ear or behind the head, or again, hand can come to your ribs. You can push up into that hand. So it occurred to me that how many panda cubs have lost their lives in the wild because there was no one there to play a trick on their mom, right? That there is somewhere in evolution, somewhere in the natural world, there was the I have to turn my back on you, right? Creation of suffering, a life that is lost, something is missing. So as soon as someone is there that says, what can I do here that's going to positively impact? Suddenly we have twice as many pandas. And maybe in the grand scheme of things, that's not what matters, but it does matter because it's a life that a back was not turned on. So what if you're the one staring at a panda that needs to be saved and you don't even realize it? Bring yourself all the way back up. Hands in front of you, please. Good. Flex the feet still in that straddle. Bend your knees, drag your heels back so you're in like a spidery leg straddle position. Good. So knees pop up. Don't let your feet drop open. Keep them straight up and down. You get that rotation of thighs rooting down. Squeeze those legs in. Walk yourself straight ahead, forward fold. right? So the idea forms, right, that if you are the one that is witnessing suffering for whatever reason that it's happening, do you have the ability to intervene in a way, to participate in a way that elevates? Because every outcome where there is an elevation is beneficial to everyone and everything. So how cool to be the person who figured out that you could save both panda cubs. If you can come low enough here, maybe stretch the right arm underneath the right knee, the left arm underneath the left knee. See what it feels like to get really deep in, getting yourself close to the floor. Maybe even round your back to do that. Instead of trying to flatten, get rounder. Squeeze your knees in. Good. Awesome. And then relax the chest. Beautiful, you guys. Unwind the arms, come all the way back out. Good. Take your legs back together in front of you. Either keep the legs straight here. We're coming into reverse plank. So if you can keep the legs straight, keep them straight. Hands come behind you. Fingers pointing towards your heels. Good. A little wider than your shoulders. So if you try and squeeze your shoulder blades too much here, you're going to run into challenges. So move your hands a little wider. And then a slight bend to the elbows. Lift your chest. Squeeze those inner thighs together. Point your toes. Lift your butt up off of the floor. Reverse plank. If the shoulders do not appreciate this position, bend your knees, plant your feet into table, and lift up. So it's the same position. It's just a little easier on the shoulders. Good. So pull up, pull up. Don't let those feet fall apart. Pull them in. Inner thighs in, inner ankles in. Good. It's that same energy at your back, wrapping around your rib cage that pushes up to the sky. These are your lifting muscles. Good. Chest open. Heart open. Yeah. And then release the hips down to the floor. Fantastic. Cross-legged seat. Stretch your arms out wide. Wrap the arms in front of you. Hug. So from Pandas, my mind said, what would happen if we never turned our back on a living being that was suffering? What would happen if we just never did it? Take your arms out wide again. Cross the arms the other way. Hug. Like you're reaching for your opposite shoulder blade. So not just a cutesy hug, but like you're really reaching. You're really stretching your arms. Good. Right? Because love is stretching yourself, right? Spiritual love. We say when we're really going for that universal, it means stretching yourself. So don't just hug easy. Hug big. Don't just look for what's the easy way for me to participate, the comfortable way. Where can I uplift? Where can I stretch myself? Reaching forward and back. Release the arms, please. And then scoot yourself forward, come onto your backs. Good. Bend your knees, please. Set your arms for bridge, so robot arms or straight, whichever you prefer. Again, if you're in robot arms, my suggestion is for today, maybe take your elbows a little wider away from your ribs. So we often say you want to pull them in close, and that's true. But if the shoulders are tight and we pull the arms in close, we're going to get stuck in what our shoulders don't want to do. So move your arms a little wider, your elbows a little wider, so that you can really feel how the pushing down into your arms activates those lift muscles around your armpits and around your shoulder blades. So I want you to start with that you're pushing down into the arms and feeling that lifting and widening of your chest from your back body, that you're squeezing those lower armpits, that you're squeezing the muscles around your shoulder blades, but not pinching them. So find that pressing down and widening, and then arch the heart up with that energy, and then take the hips up into bridge. So you can still feel like you are hugging in towards your midline, but you don't have to limit yourself by keeping your arms right up against your ribs. Good. Nice, you guys. Long throats, please. Press long through the back of your throat. Beautiful. And then release the hips down to the floor. Good. Same thing. Second bridge pose. So adjust yourself if you need. Set the arms, please. And again, without doing that little shimmy where you roll your shoulders under, stay super wide with your upper back. Push into the arms. Still feel like you're hugging in with those lower armpits. Lift those rib cage, lift that rib cage straight up. So you're pulling from the armpit chest. Good. And then let your hips rise up along with that. Nice. So there's a feeling that I'm continuously pushing down through my arms because it's going to elevate my chest. As my chest elevates, my spine gets longer, my hips can lift higher. Good. But if I just push my hips up, I'm going to get stuck in my back. Release the hips down to the floor. Good. Keep the legs in this position, and everybody bend your elbows, plant your hands alongside your ears like you would for wheel. Do not have to come up into wheel, but I want you to take your hands there anyway. I want you to find the position, and maybe even, especially if your shoulders are tight, move your hands wider away from your ears. Let your fingers turn outward a little bit. So they're not going to be facing directly towards your shoulders if they're not comfortable there. And then hug those elbows in. Yeah, hug them in. And then I want you to press into your hands, and now try and pull those lower tips of your armpits down to the floor. Try and almost flatten that space of your upper back. Pull down. So the elbows are squeezing in and they're digging down towards your hips, and then push into your hands and lengthen your throat. Good. So it should feel almost like you're trying to unarch your back. You're trying to flatten your upper back and squeeze those arms and push. And then for those of you who are comfortable in a wheel and you want to come all the way up here, go for it. Good. If you're not, stay where you are. Just work the arms another breath. Nice. And then release the arms back alongside you. Take one more bridge pose if you did not come into wheel. Good. Again, setting the arms down, lifting through that chest. Right? One of the challenges with coming into wheel is not just the flexibility of the back, but it's understanding where the pushing of coming into the pose actually happens, where the strength of your back comes from. And if you never set your arms in that position and figure out, how do I feel my shoulders when I push into my hands in this position, is you're always going to feel like your balance is precarious, like your chest is not strong enough, your arms are not strong enough. Good. Release the hips back down to the floor. Nice job. Draw the knees in towards the chest. Good. Draw the knees wide. Reach for the ankles or the feet. Happy baby. Good. So you're hugging those inner knees in, and at the same time, hugging your heels in, pushing your inner thighs a little wider. Good. And you're keeping your low back anchoring down to the floor. Nice, you guys. Good. And then hug the knees back in towards your chest, please. Cross your right thigh on top of your left. So wrap the legs like you would for eagle, right thigh on top of left. Scoot your hips over to the right, drop your knees to the left. Good. And either that right arm goes wide or stretch it up alongside your ear. Good. The reaching up alongside your ear is often going to give you more space through the side body, and it's going to take some of the pressure out of the shoulders so that your upper chest can actually open more because it's not being dragged by the weight of your arm. Good. You have more maneuverability. Nice. Good. Unwind the legs, please. Come all the way back to center. Switch the cross of the legs. So take the other leg on top, left leg over right. Send your hips over to the left, drop your legs to the right. And same thing, that left arm is either going to extend out wide or come up alongside the ear, whichever feels better. And with the arm up, you absolutely can keep dropping that left armpit and shoulder blade back down towards the floor. But now there's not the pressure coming from the arm that maybe makes the joint not feel good because it can't yet settle to the floor. Good. Don't increase your suffering to try to achieve a form. Nice, you guys. Slowly unwind the legs, please. Come back to center. Good. Hug the knees in. Nice. If you are able to easily come into plow pose here, just take the legs up and over, please. So skipping shoulder stand, just coming back into plow. If that doesn't work, legs straight up to the sky can be really nice. or even using a strap around the feet. Good. If you're in plow especially, I want you to really concentrate on pushing your hips up to the sky so you get the length on your spine. Good. Nice, you guys. One more breath. And then slowly release, please. Rolling down the spine, one vertebra at a time if you're in plow. Drawing the knees back in towards the chest if your legs are just extended in the air. Good. And then start to find your way into Shavasana, stretching the legs out in front of you. For a moment, take the arms up alongside your ears. Maybe shimmy right and left a little bit, almost like you are alternating, pushing through right heel and right arm, and then left heel and left arm. It's almost like you're doing that exaggerated sort of wiggle right and left side. So you're lengthening, lengthening, lengthening. That's it. And then let yourself come to stillness somewhere in the middle of that. Let the feet drop wide. Arms drop wide, heart drops wide. And for the benefit of all beings, I let my breath, my mind reach for the place where I know that I am already united with all beings. My desire to be done with my own suffering becomes a desire for all beings to find their way to the end of their own suffering. And as long as that desire lives in me, it's at the root of every breath, I'll keep reaching. As long as I am reaching, that universal energy will keep reaching out to me. It's all the same. Very gently bring the awareness back to your breath. Let your body begin to stretch, move, in whatever ways serve it well. And as you're ready, draw the knees in towards your chest. Roll to the right side. And find your way back to an upright seated position. Bring the hands together in front of the heart center, palm to palm, or whatever mudra has been serving you well. Remember, there are some of the very old texts that will actually make reference to karmically, right? Whatever happens in your life, the possibility that you may be reborn as a dog or a cat or a mosquito, right? That depending on the cycles of your rebirth, the cycles of your suffering, the cycles of your understanding, is you may, in fact, be an animal at some point. And so the reminder is always that if there is only one, there's only one being, there's only one self, that everything is united. That if you are always looking back, you're reaching back. You're only reaching back for yourself. And all those beings who are in front of you who you think are so far ahead, you're reaching for them too. You're only reaching for yourself, right? Because they're you. They may be a version of you that has experienced things a little different, but it's all the same. You're reaching back, you're reaching forward, you're reaching for yourself. So if you can bring your mind and your heart to a place where there is just the desire for the upliftment of every being, even if it's just a panda. Panda might be you, right? But can you have that desire so strong in your breath that says, I realize that I am already united with these beings, and wherever there is suffering that is relieved, I benefit. And anywhere that there is suffering that I can participate in alleviating, I benefit. Even if it's not for me that I'm doing it. That's what it means to practice for all beings. It's what it means to be on that spiritual path, is that every wall that you think you've climbed, it's not the end. You're still reaching back for anyone who hasn't realized yet. You're still reaching forward for yourself who has not realized yet that there's more. So for the benefit of all beings, breathe deeper and look for, how can I be the forklift? How can I uplift? How can I participate in a way that relieves suffering for any being? Because it matters, all of it. We'll close the sound of Om. Deep breath in. Letting the thumbs up to the space between the eyebrows. May you be inspired by the simplest of beings in your life and never stop reaching forward and back and in. Namaste. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your night, a great rest of your week. Don't forget Kirtan on Friday night. Highly recommend. So check that out if you are at all interested. Again, even if you just have it going on in the background, be great music. Listen to the names, listen to the mantras.